I've been asked some questions which is easy to explain on the actual video rather than trying to explain on emails to queries. Right, the top section on the rolling table, we've got the lid housing, blade housing lid, and the base. When you would normally get these, obviously you'll have the blades attached. We've got a set of blades here. So obviously these are held on top and bottom. On each set of blades, you must also note that each side is machined differently. On each side of the tables it will vary, but there's always a difference between this part and there, and this part and there. That gap. So here you can quite clearly see it's shorter that side than there. The distance from the hole to the edge. The distance from the hole to the edge. Okay, so if we look at both blades, you can see there that both blades are the same. So when you come to put them on, just make sure that you put them the right way round on the table. You can soon get around it if you've done it wrong. Just turn the lid the opposite way round. But we do get some lads will put them on and wonder why they don't line up. But they are machined at the same side. So what we're going to do here, so if you want to improve your speed of rolling, you can buy the extra top lid and the base lid separately, which I've had a few people ask for. So you can buy this separately. We do these at the same price of the blades. They're not on the website, but we do them. So I'm just showing people a couple of things that do go wrong, or you can adjust. A long posi drive screwdriver is easy item to need. So when we come to put the lid on, in my mind I always tend to put the narrow side to the left. So what we're going to do, we've got the lid here. So basically when you put the lid in, it'll go into here. You get the bolts and bolt it on. Alright, so a couple of things that you will find, although the machine on a diamond computerised CNC router, you will get a slight discrepancy, very minor. But so we've had to do it on the lid, so you can actually adjust it, which you will find if you're changing the blades over from one side to another. You will find that you will have to do what I'm about to do in a minute. So we just get these two bot blades on, and it's easier just to explain it all on the lid. Couple of bolts missing. There's one. Right. If you look underneath the lid, as I'm putting this blade in, this part is very critical all the time. Now, all the blades should be exactly the same size. So if it's exactly the same size, this should be a tight gap. There should be no gap there and no gap there. It does sometimes, you know, probably a 0.1 of a mil, you'll get a bit of a gap from one to the other. So we've had to make it in a way that you could have some way to adjust it if needed. So if you look at a table and there's a gap here, we've done it in a way you can adjust it. So on each side of the table you've got 3 posi drive bolts there. So those there you can adjust. Make sure you use a long handled screwdriver to get some leverage. I'll work it on this side. So if I just show you, if I slacken that and screws off, because these are machined on a slightly bigger hole, when we turn it up, you can see we can pull it out. So if you look at a table and there's got that, you want to push it in, push it up, and then tighten it up. But don't use a cordless screwdriver, because you may snap the screw head off, which obviously is a major problem. So a good levered hand screwdriver, there is the issue there. Okay, so that's the lid. So I always tend to do the lid first. So that's the lid on. Then when we come to do the base, again, make sure we've got these lined all up. So that gap there is the same. So we're not doing it like that. So you can clearly see that the blade there and there doesn't line up. That gap is wider than that gap. So change it round and drop it on. So we've got a lid and a bolt, and you have to excuse the cat crying because she wants to go outside. I've left the bolts already underneath. I'll just quickly put these in here. Another area that you need to make sure is when you're putting these on, the base blade, this one, that when you come to bolt them up, that you've also, it's an area that you can go wrong by, is that the blade itself is slightly larger than in width than the bit below it. So get your fingers and just make sure that this little bit is overhanging the same as the bit on the opposite, on the bit this side, because you could end up with the blade being too far across. Like now it's the wrong way round, that's further across than that, so that will make them not line up. So make sure that you push it across and it feels equal either side, there and there, there and there. And again, we'll tighten this up. So that shall come down. Now if we find that's nice and tight, you can spray a little bit of adhesive, like a bit of oil on the sides, just to get it nicely smooth. But the looser you have it here, if there's a gap there, it will slightly twist and move away, and you will probably get these might not slightly align up then. So now, if we come to change it, all we have to do is unbolt, do the pivot bolts there and there. So when you come to quickly change it, you take the whole lot off, put that on the rack, and you can then put another one on, different size, put the bolts in. Okay, happy rolling.